Auditor, and I am thrilled to be part of Proud Dems US. We're an organization committed to helping Democratic candidates be successful. And right now we are filming the incredible New Mexico Democratic candidates that we have for statewide offices. We're trying to go deep so that you can hear them, see them, and decide which is the best candidate for you to vote for on June 7th.
And I'm Roberto James Montoya, and I hope that you enjoy this presentation of Meet the Candidate. Hello and welcome to ProudDems.us Meet the Candidate. I'm Roberto James Montoya. I'm on the Affirmative Action and the Platform Committee for the Democratic Party of New Mexico. And I'm with
Bernadette Fedoro, Chair of Santa Fe County Democratic Party and past Chair of the Federation of Democratic Women, Santa Fe County, and on the National Board.
And we're here today with Zack Quintero, a candidate for New Mexico State Auditor.
Well, gracias. Thank you both for having me on.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure to be with fellow Democrats.
We're glad you're
Gracias,
here.
Madam Chair. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your leadership and all you do.
Thank you.
And
Well, the first question that we have is we'd like to do a deep dive.
Sure.
We'd like to ask you, Zack, about your life. Who are you? Where were you born? Tell us about your parents. Do you have siblings? Where did you go to school? We want to know, who is Zack Quintero?
Thank you. For starters, I'm not Lou Diamond Phillips. I know I bear a resemblance, I've been told, on the campaign trail, so let's get that out of the way. But I'm Zachary Quintero. I'm a proud son of Las Cruces in Doña Ana County. I'm a proud Democrat from southern New Mexico. My mom is Sonia and my dad is Tony. I come from a family of public school teachers, firefighters, nurses, veterans, and plumbers. I went to school at Tamba Elementary, Zia Middle School, Las Cruces High School, and New Mexico State University and the University of New Mexico School of Law. So I'm through and through a proud product of New Mexico Public Schools. And I'm just happy to be here with you all and to share our vision for State Auditor. I have two sisters as well, Bridget and Alexis Quintero. I am the middle child in between both. Two amazing, strong Latina women, and I was raised by strong Latina women, something I'm very proud of because it's reflected in the passion and priorities that I put forward for this office for State Auditor, which is protecting all New Mexicans.
Fantastic. So for our next question, tell us about the jobs that you've had in the past 15 years and how those jobs have prepared you for this role that you're running for.
Well, thank you for the question. So the work experience for this position is really serious, and I'm proud to have a strong resume that is tailored to the needs of what our people deserve to have for the next state auditor. I've worked as an economic development specialist. I've worked in county government and state government across the board when it comes to being able to investigate abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. I served as the Federal Ombudsman of New Mexico, where I had to investigate exploited practices for our seniors, our adults with disabilities, and our veterans. I was appointed by Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, who we will get reelected, fellow Democrats. And the other part about that was also serving on the medical advisory team. I, before that, served in the executive branch as a legal analyst and also examining fiscal impact reports for the state legislation. So I'm a proud nerd and strongly qualified for this position because I am professionally trained in law, investigations, and in economics. That's what I got my degrees in. I have 2 degrees in economics, 1 in government, and 1 in law. So I bring a strong, diverse portfolio of practical experience from both the local, county, state, and federal side, and heavy investigative practices that this office needs.
Excellent. So can you tell us in your own words what you believe to be the primary focus of the position? And do you believe that you have all the people that you need, the existing staff that you need in terms of how you will run the office?
Sure. So the primary needs for this office come down to 2 basic essentials. The first is financial compliance and timeliness of reports, making sure that local municipal governments and county governments and state government agencies are holding the public's dollars with good faith and transparency. That's my first priority, to make sure that we know how our money is being spent and it's not being used with corruption or financial interests or pay-to-play schemes. So my first job is to protect the finances of the state of New Mexico by investigating it. And the second piece of it is the healthcare portion for this office. This office now has expanded roles and authorities to investigate predatory healthcare scams, including predatory guardianships. And that's a large reason why I got involved in this race. Running for this office was both personal and professional for me. I saw my grandfather go through a predatory guardianship system where his entire financial benefits were stripped away from him and his medical dignity was completely lost and shattered. That passed on to my family. I saw my family suffer because of a medical healthcare scam. And I never want to see a single New Mexican family go through that kind of pain. That's why I stepped up and decided to run for state auditor, because I bring the strong legal qualifications and statewide investigative practices that this office deserves. It's also why I'm trusted by over 80 Democrats statewide and just earned the endorsement of Senator Martin Heinrich, and I'm also the only Planned Parenthood Votes New Mexico candidate. And the reason why that is because of our ideas. Again, having a strong focus on healthcare, protecting our most vulnerable, and making sure this office is accessible for every corner of New Mexico, regardless of zip code.
So have you run for office before, and if so, which offices have you held?
Sure, so I've run for city council before, actually. I was with a community action group that was focused on climate change issues affecting Latino communities in Albuquerque. And we brought together a grassroots movement where we identified the top 3 climate issues that weren't being changed at all by the existing person in that seat. So we had a community meeting and we said, okay, well, who's bringing strong technical experience, legal experience, and environment-related background? And I was bringing that, having my focus in constitutional rights and serving on the New Mexico Law Review, as well as being in the Environmental Law Clinic. So I went after both the federal argument and the city argument that this city deserved more, that the city of Albuquerque could be off in a much better hands on the environmental note. So that's the offices I've pursued before. But for statewide office, this is my first run, and I'm very excited about it because we have amazing Democrats in every corner of New Mexico, from Colfax to Sunland Park. This is something that I've been enjoying because I've gone over 13,000 miles in our red chili Prius across New Mexico. So, yeah.
Excellent.
In the city council race, did you win that race, or?
We came together as a community and fought very hard, but we came up short by just a handful of votes. But the great part about it was when we finished the race, we had even stronger allies statewide, both within labor unions, both within state legislators, and that's translated really well to this race for state auditor. Being trusted like this and having over 80 Democratic endorsements and being the only candidate endorsed by statewide labor unions, that's a very humbling experience right now.
Excellent. So tell us, what has been the most difficult or challenging part of this race?
The most difficult and challenging part has probably been, 2 parts, actually. It's not just one. It's one of the same thing. So traveling to each corner of New Mexico is difficult because it takes a lot of miles. And that takes a physical toll and you start to feel tired after a while. But then when you get there, you're reminded what you're fighting for. And you're reminded about the importance of public service and what it really means to look at pain and know suffering and have real ideas to help change it. So the difficult part has been the travel, but we've been able to do that because we have a great team, because people believe in us. So that's been the way we've been able to balance it out. And even though I feel tired from time to time, each time I go into a new county, I feel rejuvenated after talking with our fellow Democrats because I know what's on the line.
Excellent.
So let's say that you win this race. Where do you see yourself in, say, 25 years?
25 years is a while from now. But I would say 25 years from now, hopefully what I'm still doing is elements of helping Democrats get elected to office, helping our New Mexicans with government services in every capacity, making sure government's accessible to each corner of the state. And I grew up in the rural part of New Mexico, where, Hatch chili, the Hatch chili fields, the zip code is different, and the funding is different. And I want to make sure things like that don't perpetuate. I want to make sure things are equitable. I want to make sure everybody has an equal opportunity to education and healthcare and know how their government operates from the local level to the county level to the state level. And that's what we deserve. And that's on us as Democrats to prove that government is an effective use of what we do. And we can tell that story through the state auditor's office. So 25 years from now, I see myself still helping out in every public service capacity as possible, be it private sector, nonprofit, or through public service through government.
Excellent. So let me ask you, in kind of closing, to tell us why are you the best candidate for this race?
Sure. So I believe I'm the best candidate for this race because I bring relevant experience, trust, and a heart for public service. And I mean that as cheesy as it may sound. It's really what I got involved in because of what happened to my family. Again, because of what I saw my grandfather go through, because of what I saw my family go through, being at the mercy of private companies that were taking away the freedoms and healthcare that my grandfather needed to survive and live. I have an informed experience personally of what this office can get done to protect people's rights and protect their healthcare. That's the first reason why I decided to run, why I feel I'm also the stronger candidate, because I'm running for someone. I'm not running for something. For me, this office is about serving our people and serving our most vulnerable. The other reason why I feel I'm the strongest candidate, I bring the strongest relevant experience. I'm the only candidate professionally trained in law, investigations, and in economics. The last 3 state auditors were all trained in law, investigations, and economics. I'm the only candidate with degrees in economics and a professional degree in training in law. So you can trust me to get the job done because the governor trusted me to get the job done as the federal ombudsman. The legislature trusted me to get the job done when I carried out statewide investigations into healthcare scams. And the federal government trusted me to be impartial and neutral and objective in protecting people's rights and reporting what was happening in the public sector and the private sector at the height of a federal pandemic. That's battle-tested experience you can believe in. And if you don't believe that, trust the 80 Democrats who have endorsed me, trust Senator Martin Heinrich, trust Planned Parenthood votes, and trust our statewide labor unions. They all believe I'm the best candidate for this race.
That is an excellent closing statement, but I want to just ask you a follow-up question. Do you believe that you have the staff necessary to do these things? Because that was part of another question, and I don't know if we covered that.
No, excellent question, Madam Chair, thank you. So staff is incredibly important in this office. And the missions that I want to see get done through the state auditor's office are 3 core parts. The first is setting up an adults with disabilities, seniors, veterans, and fraud detection unit to root out predatory guardianships, that similar circumstances what happened in my family. The second is having a climate accountability audit where we review all the key climate data across the state of New Mexico, consolidate it, and be able to look at it side by side with the environmental issues that we're facing on state lands and say whether or not we're meeting confidently the crisis of climate change that we need to be meeting right now, whether or not we're meeting the science. The third and final piece is modernizing the office to track federal and state money to make sure it goes to our classrooms. That's through software programs and different ways of being able to make sure sole source procurement, or a special way of saying specialized services, aren't a pay-to-play scheme and aren't a slush fund. They're the taxpayers' money that need to be protected. But the way we get that done, 35 full-time employees is being able to staff that fully out, making sure that we have a software system that is reflective of both national purchasing processes. I'm looking at 3 software companies right now because I have to be proactive and being able to find the math and get the numbers and make sure it meets the budget that the current state auditor has, to be able to have a tracking system that tracks state and federal money. So yes, I do believe we have the staff power and the available vacancies to do these kinds of things. It's something that I thought about very carefully while I was deciding to run for this office, if it could be able to meet the expectations that I have of it, but also the expectations and demands that our everyday New Mexicans have right now and what they're suffering through.
Excellent.
Very good. Zack Quintero for State Auditor.
Gracias.
Thank you.
All right, good job.
Appreciate it.
Very
Yeah.
good job, yes.
Got it.